More money, problems for millennials. A new survey finds nearly half of them still get some level of financial support from their parents, this on a monthly basis. So what does this say about the state of this generation going forward? Here to discuss, Kingsview Asset Management CIO and Fox News contributor Scott Martin. I know it feels like sometimes, Scott, we're picking on the millennials, but, again, signs that maybe that they're digging themselves in for something destructive with this sort of need for constant support from their parents.
Yeah, the dependency is not good, Charles. And I think one of the other things, besides the money, and I have two young kids, too, full disclosure, so they're not millennials, whatever the new generation is, that's where they are, the oldest being 8. But the reality is this, I think aside from the money, Charles, that the parents are providing, and I know how it is, you love your kids, you want to see them do well, you want to give them every opportunity you can, but the parents aren't delivering that additional education, right? The at least indoctrination into growing up and getting a job and working hard for your money and paying back mom and dad even and being responsible in school and getting good grades and things that these kids, Charles, aside from getting the money from their parents, should be getting from their parents as far as maybe guidance that they're not getting from, say, school itself to make sure that they grow up right and appreciate the things that they do have.
It's a double-edged sword. I'm guilty of really giving my kids a lot, and certainly a lot more than I had. At my son's age at 22, I was giving my mom money. I joined the military, and I was sending money back home. So it was a vice versa situation. It's hard, though, to escape that, and you do wonder if this education you're talking about really is being learned, because it's hard when you really don't have your back against the wall.
Yeah, it is, because that's when you tend to kind of fight or flight, right? And I think that's really the tough lessons that some of these kids, because of the help, maybe aren't learning. Now, you're right about tugging at your heartstrings about the kids and not wanting them to starve and be on their own. And I think you, too, hit on an important point with the schools, Charles. These days, with education costs, certainly as far as higher education, completely out of control, and colleges not having a lot of responsibility in hooking up these kids, as it were, 20-somethings, with jobs after college, I think that's another area where we could see a lot of improvement and maybe putting some of these colleges on the hook to making sure that if kids do fulfill their degree requirements, they get a job after they leave college and therefore don't have to depend on mom and dad as much.
I would love that. By the way, the millennials are just too wide anyway. You go from 22 to almost 40 years old.
Almost to me.
Yeah,
right.
I'd like these younger millennials. In fact, forget about the younger millennials. What about the Generation Z, right? Because while the millennials are asking parents for money, we've got a 16-year-old who just became a millionaire, all for playing the video game Fortnite. So are parents wrong now to tell the kids to put down that controller? Pretty soon they're going to be saying, put down that book. Are you nuts?
Yeah, I'll say pick up the controller, put down the books. I mean, that's crazy. The kid won $3 million. He's young. He's in his teens, 16, I think it was. And it just goes to show you, I mean, these days, what is the future of that generation? Because a lot of those kids in the esports field, I mean, you look at other games that are out there. Grand Theft Auto is another one that's really popular amongst the young kids. And they just recently, Charles, as an aside, put a casino into the downloadable game, and it's exploded as far as users because kids that obviously couldn't get into a casino and order champagne to the penthouse at the casino are now getting that experience, if you will, online. It's driving the addiction crazy, just like it is for Fortnite, where you just got to take it in stride and see what really is driving these kids to play these games, because it's kind of socially, I guess, isolating, right? I mean, even though you're playing with kids in the game, you're talking through a headset, you're playing a machine, these are fake characters. And oh, by the way, in the case of Fortnite, I believe, because I've been on the game too, you shoot people.
Yeah, there's a big study in Japan. They call them the grass eaters. It goes back 15 years, and it's a cautionary tale for America right now. Is there any way to make money for the viewers? Anything in the market that might be comparable to being able to ride this wave?
Yeah, we haven't hit the gaming sector just yet as far as our investments, Charles, but TTWO is one that looks the best to me. I mean, you got a couple other competitors in EA Sports, which really isn't moving anywhere. You're a big chart guy, I know. That chart looks dead.
Yeah.
So does Take-Two Interactive looks good. Activision's the other one that's out there.